Welcome back to our session, which we will be dealing about the on-sale products, as Wealth Assist calls it, or what you would probably better know as your buy to sell or flips. So that is our next product that we're going to spend some time on. And in this case, I always have the beautiful story. I've sat around many campfires where I've had lots of people always telling me about the beautiful transactions they did when they bought and sold something and made some good returns. I've seldom heard them speak about, about what I lost in those transactions, and which is understandable. We all want to be related to good things. Now, it makes me think about gambling. Guys who's gambling, you always hear about the day that he won that fantastic amount of money, and unfortunately it doesn't always happen. So in our case, we try to cut that gambling approach out of the transaction and make it more secure and more predetermined returns. So our on-sale investment product line includes basically where the distressed property owner sells or provides the property as security to the property investor, and then the property investor provides funding to improve or to make payment to stop any foreclosure or prevent any foreclosure, or sale in distress or sale in execution, whatever it may be. And then the property investor will then either take transfer of that property, or recordal in case of an installment sale will be done over the title, or security bond in cases where we have what we call our joint venture sale. So leveraging people's assets to actually assist them on the end of the day is what this product does. Further is that the property will then be fixed up and sold by area specialists. In that case, about 90% of all our transactions will actually be not transferred into your name, but simultaneous transfers into your name. So we literally had about 10% in our last 7 years history where clients have to take transfer of that property and then sell it on. What this product does actually is, and where it makes a big difference comparing to the current distressed market and things that are happening in this distressed market, is where this property is now bought at its price. Let's make it very practical. If it's R1 million property, buying it for 500,000 rand, fixing it up, paying the arrears, whatever that may be, call it 100,000. Now that property will be listed and sold for, call it R1 million, or actual fact, you will now add value, so it will probably be 1.1 million. Now, what normally would have happened in the industry, that property would have been bought, sold, and all the profit taken by the person who purchases that property. In our case, is where we make impact, is that property is now purchased, and on the end of the day, after it's purchased, fixed up, done, sold on, and a predetermined return. The capital plus the returns will be paid to the investor in that case, but all the balance that is created will then be shared with the property owner after property assists. What we call a performance profit will be paid, and after that the client will get the balance, which will on the end of the day help him to start afresh. So even if he's in trouble, we don't kick him when he's down, we're actually assisting him in the process, but also through that have cooperation with the seller, which works substantially better than what it is when you go into sales and executions and you have to force the person out. Then third-party purchase the property from the investor on the end of the day at a predetermined price, which includes certain returns as predicted and arranged up front. Then what we will spend a bit of time on now is also comparing, like we did with the previous one of our previous sessions, comparing the on-sale product from Wealth Assist versus a normal buy to sell or a flip, as you know it. So the first point of on-sale product is you have the predetermined profits on that specific transaction, on each transaction, whilst and here I've bought many properties over the years on auction. Estimated hopeful returns, I call it hopeful returns because it's never exactly what you plan it to be. It is a budget, you're trying to do that, but we also know that there's so many unforeseen things, especially, and here, the guys who wants to buy an auction, that type of thing. The homework, the time and the effort that you actually put in an auction. You can't really compare it because it is a lot of work to prepare it properly for an auction. And then when you get to the auction, about 50 to 60% of it gets cancelled these days prior. Hopefully it is the Wealth Assist team who's actually arranging that it get cancelled, because we would prefer to do transactions prior to all those auctions taking place. And that will obviously on the end of the day help the client, because now you've got somebody that who cooperates and wants to cooperate with you. Then there is what we call penalty profits, where the property owner doesn't cooperate, where you sit with a very costly affair when you have a non-cooperative property owner in a property that you purchased on a sale and execution, where you have to evict him and all those type of things. Predetermined assessments, every single, we know that value on sale is most important. And we have proven methods which have been proven over the last 7 years, that when we have to sell properties, that they sell, it's seldom that it will go over the time limit, which is normally about a 12-month period. If it's higher priced properties, which we may have additional time spans. And we know that that when you do have, and you do your homework as an assessment, you sometimes have to rely on the agent, and maybe they're not an area specialist, you don't know. Except if you do the homework like we do, and make sure that the actual sales over the last 6 months is tested and seen, have they sold properties in that area, what is the case. Okay. Then I have spoken about the cooperation of sellers. In our case, they obviously want to cooperate because they're getting something out. They don't want to be difficult because they sign that if there's any legal fees or whatever that needs to be paid, they will pay that. So in that case, you've got a cooperative seller, where in the other situations like sales and execution and auctions, a lot of times you'll have unwilling sellers who don't want to cooperate. Then this is a place where you now have to put a bit of the thinking cap on. I want you to understand the compound part of the flips that you're doing compared to our on-sale product compound part of what we're doing. So in the situation where we have an on-sale product, any of our transactions, breather transactions as we call it, that means those that you're going to probably take transfer of, in those cases, as we said, 90% of the time you have a simultaneous transfer. But apart from that, just get yourself in the picture. You purchase this property now for 500,000, the R1 million property as an example again. You bought for 500,000. We fixed it up. We've done the same thing. We're back to your 600,000 that we paid for that property. Now, when we sell that property, let's say we sell it within 2 months, and the person takes a month to get his guarantees in place, that third-party purchaser, to give you these guarantees. That means now we can replace your guarantees. That means the part that hasn't been paid in cash, that you still have to just issue guarantees for, can now be reutilized and reinvested in another. That creates compound returns, because in actual fact, while your money is reused, you are earning the interest on that, or the returns on that previous transaction. And that is the same way that we have with our joint venture sales. In that case, it's just not a question that you're going to take transfer. You're never going to take transfer, because that's the product where the owner gives the property, you provide the funding. We do a joint venture, and we secure it by a security bond over the property in favor of you for your capital, your profits, as well as the 20%. Whilst when you did a similar type of transaction, you've got no security on apart from the property itself, and you've got hopeful returns, which we can't always guarantee. So then the next point is all transaction flow on the on-sales products from Wealth Assist is managed by and facilitated by the Property Assist sales team. So maintenance, all those type of things are facilitated as well by our team. We don't have maintenance teams. We subcontract because it's not an exponential model if you have to have teams to do that. So we work with a specialist in each area. We also do predetermined quotations on every single property. So before we purchase a property, if there's compliance, maintenance, whatever needs to be done, there will actually be certain number of quotes. Above certain prices, it will be more quotes, and above certain prices, when it comes to project management, even more quotes. On the other side, with a flip, lots of times you don't have that time, especially when you go to sales and execution. You won't have the time to get into that property beforehand, to see what the maintenance. So you have to work on estimates and guesstimates for those type of things. And then I have spoken about it. It's a very time-consuming process to prepare for sale and execution because so many pitfalls that you may step in. And now you can avoid it by getting a product which is pre-vetted, looked after, and secured for you upfront before you can make the selection. You still have to do your homework. Every investor has to do his homework every time. But that homework is made so much easier with the fact that we provide you with the information. So it's basically verifying that our information is correct, which saves you a lot of time and money. And then, very important is our track record of actual audited on-sale product returns for the years so far. Here they are. So if you look at those, the kind of returns, at 75% of market value as your security, I think is not something that you will get easily somewhere else, and especially the fact that it's predetermined. Thank you, and please, the floor is open if you have any questions.